The message of our scriptures and sages is simple, it's straightforward, it is sublime, and that is, you and I are divine. Poetically put, tat tvam asi. That we are not different than Bhagavan. We are not different than Brahman. Because if we are different, then we've defamed Brahman. We've defamed Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan and Brahman are infinite. That means you and I as well. Yet we do not feel this glory of being Bhagavan. We don't feel the infinitude of being Brahman. And often we feel so far the opposite that it leads to anxiety. It leads to depression. It could lead to suicide even. On Monday, I have the great fortune to speak at the Pentagon, and they initially had asked me to speak on suicide prevention because it's an epidemic in the Department of Defense right now, whether military or civilian. And what happens when one thinks about or actually engages in suicide is lost purpose. Whether it's losing the purpose for the nation or one's family, and finally for oneself. But when we know that our nature is divine and there is only divinity, then one will not allow oneself to succumb to that anxiety, that depression, that suicide. That purpose is so clear. We are searching for fullness. We are searching to be Purna. We don't just want to chant the closing prayer, we want to live the closing prayer. We are searching for this. And we have understood and appreciated that purity of mind is needed to turn that faith into knowledge, to intensify that conviction. And universally, our scriptures always begin focusing on virtues. Tattva begins with virtues. Vivekji, virtues. Lord Krishna intersperses virtues throughout Gita. Chapter 2, chapter 4, chapter 6, chapter 12, chapter 13. He keeps inserting virtues in there. Because with purity of mind, this will become real. How are we supposed to cultivate virtues? Ensuring that our lives revolve around the virtuous. Whether it's people, whether it's scriptures, whether it's ideas, this all leaves an impact on us. One of our chicks is a real estate agent. He recently told me, if you have 9 friends that are broke, you will be the 10th one. Right? If I spend time with people who don't manage money well, I'm not going to manage money well either. This is the impact it has on us. Our aspiration for this retreat is to connect with our divine strength. And so we are going through Mahanarayana Upanishad to find this divine strength. And specifically through Medha Suktam, to tune in to this divine strength. We have a prayer to Saraswati Devi to bless us with memory, to bless us with intelligence, to bless us with wisdom, because this is what we need. This Medha Suktam has been chanted by millions of searchers for millions of years, and they've derived that spiritual power from this. Even at a secular level, imagine we were able to remember everyone's name. We'd be so popular, people would like us. Imagine we can remember directions. We wouldn't have to support Garmin or Magellan, etc. We would know. For students, imagine the teacher said it once, like Swami Tapovan Maharaj taught Swami Chinmaya. I will only teach you once, and if you don't understand, that means you're not ready. How achievement-oriented we would be in the secular world if Mother Saraswati blesses us. So we're praying to her. We began by saying, O Medha Devi, we invite you to come revel in our heart. Please come, live with us, be with us. And during this first line, our focus was on prayer. When we converse with Medha Devi, with Mother Saraswati, we begin to make her presence real. A master was once teaching his students about the all-pervasive nature, Vishwachi, of Bhagwan. And everyone said, yes, we believe that Bhagwan is all-pervading. But this teacher knew that it was only theory. So he happened to have a bunch of bananas. And he said, I'm going to give all of you a banana, and I want you to eat this banana without anyone seeing you. So they were all excited, and they took their bananas, and then he gave them a break, and some ran into the closet under the tree, some climbed the tree, someone closed their eyes and started eating the banana. And then after some time, they came back, and everyone was smiling and, waiting to share. And the teacher asked each student, and they shared, I did it this way, I did it this way. One student still had the banana, and they were all teasing that boy. And the teacher asked, how come you didn't eat your banana? And what did that boy say? You said God is all pervasive. How can I eat anywhere where God is not watching? Guruji shares this message in a much more beautiful way. He talks about how we do puja, right? Just the mechanical chanting is going on, mechanical flowers, mechanical... Prasad is not mechanical because we're going to get that back. It's all right, just going on and on and on like that. And there's a gentleman who's doing this ritualistic puja day after day after day, and he is devoted to Lord Shiva. One day his cousin comes and brings him a murti of Bhagwan Ganesha. So he puts it in the puja room as well. And he's going on with his puja, his mind is somewhere else. And when he lights the incense, that incense keeps going to Bhagwan Ganesha's trunk. And he's watching this happen, and he's going on with his puja, but he gets annoyed by this. So he takes some cotton and sticks it in Bhagwan Ganesha's trunk. And as soon as he does that, Bhagwan Ganesha appears before him and says, I'm pleased with you. And he says, pleased with you? I've been doing puja to Bhagwan Shiva for so long, and I put this in your nose, and you're pleased with me? And he says, yes, because until then, you didn't believe I was real. But the fact that you plugged my trunk shows that you believe that I am real, isn't it? So when we begin our conversations with God, our prayer, that presence is revealed to us. When we begin praying, there are physical changes and mental changes that take place. Patients, meaning those who are ill, who have a family, they recover more efficiently and effectively than patients who don't have families, because they have a purpose. Patients who have a religion, even more. Patients who believe in God, most efficiently, most effectively. Even if God is not real, the placebo itself is strong enough for one to follow this. These changes take place, so make time for prayer. And all of you have done that. You've come from far distances. Someone here is from Seattle, flew across the country to be here. So you are making time for this. Treat Bhagwan as your best friend. We like to share what's on our mind, but we're sharing with people who want to share what's on their mind. So everyone's talking, but nobody is listening. But if I treat Bhagwan as my best friend, I'll be able to share. And he or she will share back too. Psychologists, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, a lot of what they do is listen, because nobody else does. So we pay them to listen to us. Treat Bhagwan as your best friend. And we said, Medha Devi, you are Bhadra, you are goodness, Sumanasa, you are generous. This is why I'm inviting you. To be good, to be generous. And remember that everything that Bhagavan offers to us today, Vilasniji talked about Prasad Buddhi, is a blessing. Everything. The word Shankara, Shubham Karoti iti Shankara, which means that person who is auspicious. That is Shankara. So anything that comes from Lord Shiva has to be auspicious. Is it only Lord Shiva? Naturally, it's Mother Saraswati, Mother Parvati, every form of Bhagavan. So everything we receive in our life, and I'm highlighting here relationships, even those relationships that are bitter, that are unforgiving, that are hard, that are ignorant, that are arrogant, those too are a blessing. They're teaching us to be more forgiving, to be more patient, to be more understanding, more accepting. Teaching us virtues, aren't they? Sadhanas. In Frederick in April, and what were the talks on? Freedom through relationships. That sambandhas, relationships, are the same as sadhana. Same virtues can be developed, but I need that perspective to do so. When we change our vision, our sight begins to change. When I see my child not as my child, but a blessing from Bhagavan Shiva, then my relationship with that child will change totally. With these eyes, I know biologically I gave birth to this child, but vision-wise, he gave birth to me. So really, is he my child? 3 pointers on how to remember that all is a blessing. And if we can remember, like I said, we can live every relationship as a blessing. And whatever relationship in our life is the hardest, whether it's our spouse, whether it's our parents, our children, whoever it may be, apply this to them. Number 1, the Creator is not looking for our ability, but is looking for our availability. How available are we making ourselves for the Creator to flow through us? Some people pride themselves on studying every parenting book or every relationship book, but they're not available. The ego develops, and that doesn't work then. But if someone is available, then the Creator will flow through that person. And I've heard a talk by Guruji where he said, a parent should be so available for their child, and this applies to spouses as well, to parents as well, that even if that child kills someone, the first person they will go to is their parent. Because at least their parent can direct them on the right path from there. But if they go to another immature party, they may run, they may do something worse in that context. I was in a satsang with a group of Devis in Valparaiso, and all of the ladies that were sitting with me were Westerners. And I overheard one lady say, she's told her daughter and all of her daughter's friends that if they're ever at a club, party, bar, whatever it may be, and they cannot drive home, all they have to do is call her, and she'll come and pick them up and drop them off at home, no questions asked. What happens at their home is not her duty, but her safety, she's putting it out there. And I thought to myself, she's practicing being available for not just her child, but for other children too. I'm not advocating going to the bar or drinking excessively, etc. But I know if an Indian parent found out that their child was in this, yes, I'll pick you up, and you'll say, oh yeah, be safe. But as soon as they come into the car, danger. You'll be a danger to their safety. Why did you do this? How come you did this? Do you know I'm your parent? Blah, blah, blah. Which means the wall that wasn't there got put there. And the next time it happens, I'm going to think twice about calling my parent. It is a delicate balance. It is tough. Being a parent, it is tough. Being a spouse, relationships are tough. All relationships. And the closer they become, the tougher they become. And that's why the toughest relationship is actually between a guru and a shishya. That guru beats down the shishya in the most loving way to build them up. But we have to be ready for that. Availability. Another pointer is Bhagavan will never give us a problem without the power to face that problem. Never. But we have to find the power within us to face that problem. Every key in our purse, in your purse, my purse is this big red one. Every key in our purse will open a door to our home, but we have to find that key to open that door. So we have the power, just have to look within to find it. And the third pointer is, Bhagavan will always give us a little bit less than what we need. Financially, socially, emotionally, intellectually. And why does he or she do it? Why does the Creator do it? So we keep looking to him or her. Because if we got all we need, what would we do? Sleep. We'd stay in bed and just keep sleeping. This is why Guruji says every center should have a mortgage. That way they keep working and asking for money. Otherwise everyone would sleep. So life is the same way. All right, 3 pointers on how to make the presence of Devi real within us. We continued our study and we said, Bhagavan, Devi, before your presence. And that's what's so beautiful, this Nudamana, before you came. And as soon as I say before you came, the implication is you are going to come. You are going to accept my invitation. How much faith this prayer is shared in. Jushamana Duruktan. We loved indulging in. Duruktan means gossip. Profitless speaking. And some people do love that. I'm in many environments where we're sharing thoughts on the greatness of the scriptures or how to be a proud parent or patriot or whatever. And these people are so assertive to change the subject. Yeah, so do you know who won the basketball game yesterday? So assertive to bring this back. We love it. When I was a young boy, I used to go grocery shopping with my mother. And for many years we did this, and my treat was I got to have a pack of gum or a chocolate bar. And I'd look at the magazines on the rack. And the one that drew my attention the most was National Enquirer. A cow with 3 heads? Awesome. A spaceship? I want to see this. Now when I go to buy groceries for the ashram or for home, I still see that magazine there. And I think for the last 3 decades, people are still buying this. This magazine is not bankrupt because we love it. We love knowing what's going on in other people's lives so we don't have to focus on our own. This is how we were before your presence. But we are thinking, and we've invited you to our home, which is our heart, because we don't want to do this forever. And I asked all of you to think about how you feel with profitless speaking. How another person would feel if they heard that. How we would feel if we heard that about ourselves. Not healthy. Think. Guruji jokes. We can go a few minutes without air, a few days without water, a few weeks without food, and forever without thinking. So think. And when we think, we will start to change our thoughts. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to be hurt by anyone. My words, my deeds. And if we don't do that, jokes about husbands and wives are going to continue forever. Jokes about mother-in-laws are going to continue forever. These jokes become serious. For all of you who have young adults as children, a lot of young adults are choosing not to get married anymore. And I'm going to take this even further. NPR, which I joke as being one of my gurus, National Public Radio, because I have to drive a lot, has shared in China, there's an epidemic right now of divorces. And they're studying that in China for many years, and this is a general observation, okay? Please take it like that. They've had a one-child-only policy. I'm an only child, this person is an only child. When we get together, we've not learned how to fight and share and forgive like siblings do. As parents, never worry if your kids are fighting. It's good. That means they care. Often in question and answer sessions, one of two things happen. When people don't have any questions, it means that they've understood everything, or they've understood, which is probably more than the truth. But when people ask questions, that means they were paying attention, and they liked the idea or didn't like the idea. So when siblings are fighting, good. They'll learn how to forgive and share and break and create and all of that. But if they have not learned this, and now I'm in a more intimate relationship, and I don't know how to do this, what to do? Leave. And a lot of our young adults are doing the same. In the sense that they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to work hard and share. Everyone wants the good times that come with the relationship, but with the good times come the hard work. Not hard times, but hard work. So we have to change our thoughts, words, and deeds, or these jokes will continue. One of our Acharyas said, if you want to get the message out there, you don't need to use a telephone, you don't need to use a television, you just need to tell a woman. Right? But you don't want to hear that. You're joking, but that's not polite. But sometimes we make those jokes real. I'll tell you another one for the sake of continuing with what's not real. A husband comes home one day, and he walks in, and he lifts his wife off the ground, and he's carrying her around the room, and he's stroking her hair and kissing her on the cheek. And she says, whoa, you're feeling so affectionate today. What's gotten into you? We had a motivational speaker at work. Not an inspirational one, not an Acharya, a motivational one, okay? Difference. We had a motivational speaker. What did he or she say to you? They said, you should carry your sorrows with a smile. Let that remain as a joke only. A good way to release ourselves of duruktan is to use the triple filter test. And I know most people in this room, and I've shared the triple filter test in all of your centers, but I also know that you've forgotten, so I'm going to tell you this again. Socrates was walking, and one of his disciples, Socrates the philosopher, a disciple ran up to him and said, Socrates, Socrates, did you hear? And he says, I didn't hear, but before you share, let's see if what you're going to say will pass through the triple filter test. In other words, think before you speak. Okay, what are these three filters? Number one, is what you're about to say the truth? Have you validated this? Have you seen this? Do you know if this is real? And his response, no, I actually heard this from someone who heard this from someone. So it is not the truth. It didn't pass. Second filter. Is what you're about to say good? Is it good for me? Is it good for you? Is it good for others? And he says, no, it's actually the exact opposite. It's not good for anyone. So it's failed the second filter. Third filter. Is what you're about to say useful? Will I benefit from this? Meaning, can I use what you're about to tell me? It's the exact opposite. It's useless. So it's not the truth, it's not good, and it's not useful. Keep it to yourself. And he kept on walking. We should think the same thing before something comes out of our mouth. Think truth, good, useful. And the beauty is, the whole world will become more silent. And why that's beautiful is because then I'll start tuning in to the infinitude of silence. That was yesterday. We continue with our study of Medha Suktam, so let's all chant. Now, someone had asked me yesterday if I can teach how to chant Medha Suktam, and I would like to, but you've only decided to come for 48 hours, so there won't be enough time for me to teach you how to chant Medha Suktam. But just type it in Google, and you will find, in YouTube, and you will, which is the same, you will find so many accurate versions of Medha Suktam. It's not open to interpretation. This is chanted well. A batchmate of mine was watching a Tamil movie, and the hero and villain were getting into their dialogue. And the villain says to the hero, "I'm going to hit you so hard that even Google won't be able to find you." So, just Google Medha Suktam, okay? If you see the vertical mark above, raise your pitch. It's called Uddata. If you see the horizontal line below, Anudata. Reduce your pitch. Everything else is Swarita. Keep the tone the same. Together. Om Medha Devi Jushamana Naaga Advishwachi Bhadra Sumanasya Mana Tvaya Jushta Nudamana Duruktaan Brihadvadema Vidate Suviraha Tvaya Jushta Rishir Bhavati Devi Tvaya Brahma Gata Shri Rutatvaya Tvaya Jushtas Chitram Vindate Vasusano Jushaswadravino Namedhe Medham Maindro Dadatu Medham Devi Saraswati Medame Ashwina Vubhava Dattam Pushkarasraja Apsara Suchaya Medha Gandharve Shuchayan Manaha Devi Medha Saraswati Samam Medha Surabhir Jushata Guswaha Ama Medha Surabhir Vishwarupa Hiranyavarana Jagati Jagamya Urjaswati Payasa Pinvamana Sama Medha Supratika Jushantam Mai Medha Mai Prajam Mai Agnistejo Dadatu Mai Medha Mai Prajam Mai Indra Indriyam Dadatu Mai Medha Mai Prajam Mai Suryo Brajo Dadatu Om Hamsa Hamsaya Vidmahe Paramahamsaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsaf Prachodayat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good, much better than yesterday. Each day, each discourse will become better. So Bhagavan, we were indulging in gossip, but now that you have accepted our invitation, we have knowledge because you are the essence of knowledge. And so what are we doing now? Brihad Vadema. Vadema means we are speaking about what? Brihat means the infinite. That which is sattvic, that which is noble. So you've come into our lives and we've changed. And if we all think about our lives, about the reality of this, when Swami Chinmaya came into our lives, didn't our lives change? Most of us have never even physically met Swami Chinmaya. But how much he has loved us by coming into our lives in various ways. See, this is not just a prayer that is esoteric and abstract. This is real. Our own lives. We should be grateful but only for 5 seconds, about our relationship with Gurudev and with Swami Dhirananda, etc. I couldn't help but make that joke. Be grateful for 5 seconds and keep going. When our thoughts, words, and deeds are aligned with Brihat, meaning the truth, we experience more of that joy. The closer we move to the equator, the more we experience the sun, isn't it? The closer my thoughts, words, and deeds are to Bhagavati, the more I will change then. And that's why we're here, to change, to be better. When our thoughts, words, and deeds do change, then suviraha. Viraha means heroic. In your books it says children. In the book that I'm studying it says children and students. We become heroic children. We become heroic students then, when you come into our lives. And going back to reality, haven't we become heroic students when the Guru Parampara has come into our lives? Would we have studied the Upanishads, Gita, Vivek Chudamani, etc.? We wouldn't have dared to pick up these scriptures. But with the presence of Bhagavati, we become heroic. Is there anyone in this room that doesn't want to be more confident? Is there anyone who doesn't want to be more courageous? How? Go to the source. Logically, the proverb, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. What hurts a lot of our Devis, and not just Devis, all beings, is fear. Fear of a relationship, fear of taking up a profession while being in a relationship, fear of raising children, fear of living with one's in-laws. All of that fear. If the fear thought doesn't come in, there cannot be fear. I want all of you to think about this truth deeply. If the fear thought is not there, there cannot be fear. Sheila and I went to see Paranormal Activity. It's a horror movie. I'm not saying you should watch the movie. And when we had returned from the movie, we were both sleeping, or I was sleeping, she wasn't. And she woke me up and said, I'm scared. And it is a scary movie, no doubt. And I said in my drowsy state, I said, chant Hanuman Chalisa. And I went back to sleep. And the next morning, then I said, how did you sleep? And she said, I slept well afterwards. See, until then, Paranormal Activity thoughts were in the mind. Then Hanuman Chalisa thoughts came in the mind. So what went away? Fear. When Bhagavati comes into our life, knowledge comes in, Brihad comes in, there can't be fear. We become heroic. And I was sharing with you the Subhashitam about a child and a mother. I shared with you the relationship between Sri Lakshmana and Mother Sumitra, and how he lived his love for his mother. He lived his love for his father, his city. We have to make self-development a priority. As wives, as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, as aunts, as grandparents, we have to make self-development a priority. When we make it a priority, the chances of everyone else making it a priority will grow. If we don't, the chances of everyone else making it a priority becomes minimal. Many wives focus on self-development, like you, self-development, but their husbands do not. That's okay. It's okay, and it's probably happening, but you've done your part. Many parents are devout parents, and their children turn out to not be like that. It's okay. You've done your part. But if you don't do your part and someone becomes like this, where self-development is not a focus, it will eat at our heart then. So we should be proactive in such measures. We are all born with our vasanas, as the last Jiya talked about. In my own family, I have an older sister and a younger sister. We grew up in Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls right now is called a city. They're downgrading it into a village because it's so small. We went to the same Catholic school. We went to the same public high school. My younger sister and I went to the same business school even. We had the same friends, same cousins, naturally the same parents. All three of us have a totally different relationship to Chinmaya Mission. My older sister is not for Chinmaya Mission. I'm giving my life to Chinmaya Mission. My younger sister, when convenient. She goes both ways. But my parents have done their part, is what I'm trying to highlight. But if they didn't, and there's some negativity that comes up, they may think, did I cause this? So we have to make this a priority. That's what's being shared here. When it comes to using these ears and this mouth to listen and speak about Bhagavati, we often don't make it a priority. In the morning when it comes to japa, but if a tree falls in our yard and it needs to get cut, and that person comes while japa is going on, the tree in my yard is more important than my appointment with Bhagavan, with Bhagavati. When you and I are sick, what is the first thing that we let go of? Sadhana, isn't it? My knee hurts, my back hurts, I'm tired. First thing. That's when we need it the most. You remember Tulsidas Ji? When he's bedridden, where was his mind? On Hanumanji. That's where Hanuman Chalisa came from. That's what makes us saint. So for us too, we have to ensure that we're making this a priority. And when we do this, it is a life of love. The real gauge of loving someone is how much we are willing to develop for them. Self-development is the most selfless pursuit. Some people may be thinking, it's Father's Day weekend. Why are you going to DC? Be here. We're family. We're married. You're my daughter. Whatever it may be. But aren't you doing this for them? When you're happier, aren't they going to be happier too? In our scriptures it teaches, when you have someone in your family who's enlightened, whether it's you or your parent or a sister-in-law, whoever it is, 7 generations above, 7 generations below are all blessed. And see how this statement validates what we had talked about? Our family, our friends are who they are for a reason. We've all gotten married or divorced to a respective person for a reason. People have children or people have abortions or miscarriages for a reason. To teach us. All of our karmas are interconnected. And so if we really love our parents, our in-laws, we should be enlightened for them. And we will bless them in ways that money and health and food and comfort cannot bless them. We will help them remove their fear. When fear is removed, so is samsara, meaning sorrow. That is a real gauge of love. The motivational speaker will say, love someone, give them flowers. Remember their birthday, anniversary date. Good, but get enlightened. Change them from the inside rather than from the outside. When kids are bullied, we often guide them to do something about that bullying. Talk to the person who's bullying you. We tell them, if you can't do that, go to a teacher, go to the principal. If you can't do that, avoid that bullying circumstance, right? Gossip is a subtle form of bullying. When we are exposed to gossip, here are the 3 things we can do, and I'm trying to make this very applicable, very practical. Number 1, change the subject. The way I said, like when I talk, people change the subject to politics or sports because they don't want to hear me. You should do it the other way around. When they're talking about that, change. You know, I went to this retreat this weekend and we had this really powerful discussion about whatever. And get into that. Change the subject. Number 2, ignore them. Be there, but don't be there. Hear them, but don't listen to them. often some of the negativity is coming from our closest relationships. Be there, but don't be there. Like some of you are doing right now. We're here, but we're not here either. And number 3 is avoid such environments. Can you come to this party? No. I'm going to the Friday evening satsang that happens here. Say no. A great gauge of ego is the person who always says yes. We have to learn to say no. Because this is a priority for me. And when it becomes a priority for me, everyone around me as well. This is all shared when we say Brihad Vadema Vidate Suviraha. When we get this knowledge of Brihad, we become heroic. Okay. Next line. And this is the line we really want to study, and this is the line we really want to bring into our lives. This is the Palashruti. Palashruti is, I praise the fruit I'm going to get in return. Very much like when we're invited for receptions and we know the people organizing that reception, don't we ask them, so who's catering the food? What do I get out of this? Even now, oh yeah, so who's the restaurant that's catering the food over here? So what will we get when Bhagavati comes into our lives? Tvaya jushta, with your blessings, rishihi bhavati. I become a rishi. A rishi means one becomes a seer. Who is a seer? Someone who understands the nature of living and life. Living is what we're doing right now. Life is God. Someone who is a seer knows that the world is always changing. And so they don't cry when it snows outside like most people in DC do. They know that there may be the occasional snowfall. And when I say DC, I also mean North Carolina and Florida too, okay? All of you. I don't mean for the Chicago people or the Buffalo people or the London people. They know that the world is changing, and so it doesn't deserve my tears. And they know there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. So a seer, rishi, is someone who learns how to adapt. Connecting this to a relationship. Before I was married, my mother told me, don't marry someone you love, marry someone who loves you. And my father said, you're never going to find the perfect person. Both of my parents are correct. And what I mean by that, they're saying the same message. My mother is saying is find someone who will adapt to you, which I did. And my father is saying make sure you're ready to adapt to another person. This is what's needed in relationships, which I'm trying to do. I don't do that, but I'm trying to do that. That's who a rishi is. We think of a rishi, long beard, wearing something, walking around with a kamandalu in the forest. That's what we think of a rishi. The rishi is someone who understands life. Tvaya jushta, again, with your blessings, Brahma, which really means Brahmana, bhavati. One becomes a Brahmana. A Brahmana means someone who is living a life of sattva. With your blessings, I pursue not pleasure, but I pursue peace. In chapter 3 of Gita, Lord Krishna talks about 3 levels of desires. He says the tamasic desire is like someone who has a fetus in their embryo, in their womb. And it takes time, it takes effort before that desire can be removed, like a fetus in an embryo. An example of a tamasic desire, flesh. Wanting to experience flesh, wanting to consume flesh, tamasic desire. How do I get rid of tamas? With rajas, not sattva, rajas. The rajasic desire is like dust on a mirror. It doesn't require time, it just requires effort. And it'll go away then. It doesn't take a long time to clean a mirror. A rajasic desire is excessive wealth. Not wealth, but excessive wealth, where that's one's only purpose. I read a beautiful quote about that. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. Rajasic desires. How do you get rid of rajasic desires? With sattvic desires. A sattvic desire is to be noble. And the comparison is to smoke on a fire. To wipe a mirror requires some effort. To see the fire, I just have to blow the smoke away. It's even less effort. And it will go away, and the light will be seen. So being a Brahmana, I get rid of that tamas, I get rid of that rajas, and I become more peace-oriented. Such a person can be content because they're pursuing peace and not pleasure. See the practicality again. With you in my life, with Devi, you being in my life, I can practice contentment. Instead of focusing on what I don't have, I focus on what I do have. And again, Palashruti. Finally, he says, Agata Shri Bhavati. Tvaya Jushta Agata Shri Bhavati, which means, with your blessings, I get Shri. And if your husband's name is Shri or Srinivasan, that is not the implication here. Shri here means inner wealth. It means, like Swamiji was talking about, Shama, calmness of mind. Dhamma, control of the senses, etc., etc. One gets inner prosperity. When Prince Arjuna and Duryodhana meet Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna, who gets there first? Duryodhana got there first. And he waits at the head of Lord Krishna. He thinks he's equal. No Upanishad there. Arjuna comes later, remembers the Upanishad. He waits at the feet of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna opens his eyes, and who does he see? Prince Arjuna. Duryodhana starts whining. I got here first. Lord Krishna says, Arjuna is younger. Let him decide. Arjuna says, I want you. He smiles and walks away. Duryodhana says, perfect, I want your army. He smiles and walks away. Another name for Arjuna is Partha. Paramatman Arthaha iti Partha. The one who knows Bhagavan is the only wealth. Not just the real wealth, only wealth. And so for us too, the real wealth is not outside, but it is inside. Deepavali will come up, and when I say Deepavali, what do you all think of? Give me some words that come up with Deepavali. Diyas, mithai, sweets, firecrackers, right? All of the stuff that kids are thinking about too. I read a quote that said, adults are like kids who owe money. Adults are the same as kids, but we owe money. That's the only difference between adults and kids. Whenever we think of Deepavali, we want Mother Lakshmi to come into our homes. We even put her footprints outside of our home, correct? And we write outside, Shubh and Labh. And we have a picture of Bhagavan Ganesha and Bhagavati Lakshmi. If we had a choice, if we knew people weren't going to see this, it wouldn't even be Shubh and Labh, it would just be Labh and more Labh. And it would be Mother Lakshmi on both sides, wouldn't it? And as soon as she comes in, what do? Lock the door. But what Sambhiji taught us, he said, certainly we should invite Mother Lakshmi to come into our homes, but we should also ask her to leave. Otherwise, she will exhaust all the wealth she has. And because she's someone who's always rearranging wealth, like a Robin Hood, she will take more wealth than what she came with if we try to hold her. So we should ask her to leave. Like Bhagavan Ganesha, don't we do his Visarjanam? You've brought me Riddhi, you've brought me Siddhi. Now you go and give Riddhi and Siddhi to other people, and I'll see you soon. Only when we have this inner wealth do we have the right relationship with outer wealth. So many of our celebrities, politicians, athletes, musicians, the really popular ones, they begin to fall apart with that popularity, don't they? Tiger Woods, Britney Spears, Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Justin Bieber. He's so young and he's beginning to fall apart. Because they're given so much prosperity, outer prosperity, but don't have that inner prosperity to use it. When Vali told Lord Rama, you shot me from behind, why didn't you shoot me from the front? I thought about it some more. Lord Rama is infinite. Vali gets half of that for anyone who he sees. If I'm 220 volts and there's a 110 receiver, it will blow up, won't it? Vali couldn't handle Lord Rama. He would have destroyed him immediately. He saved him instead. You and I have to get this inner Shri before outer Shri can be used for our benefit. So you bring inner prosperity. The person who has Shri in their life, they become ever wealthy. Remember in Virginia and in Maryland, we did talks on minute-to-mind management. And I'd asked all of you, when Yudhishthira is asked, who is the person who is ever wealthy? The Yaksha asks him. And his response is, the person who is ever wealthy is a person who is ever even-minded. When it's sunny, they're wealthy. When it's rainy, they're wealthy. When things are good, they're wealthy. When things are bad, they're wealthy. They're always even-minded. This is something we Devis do well, but can always do better. I don't have enough time to get into it right now, but for the next section, I'll give you an introduction to it. All beings suffer. Kids suffer in their own ways. Teenagers suffer in their own ways. Young adults suffer in their own ways. Husbands suffer in their own ways. Devis suffer in their own ways too. But out of all beings, Devis suffer the most. There are so many physical pulls on a Devi. A Devi's physical sense is changing so much, one's whole life. Males don't go through such changes as Devis go through. And it's constant too. It's not just a one-time deal. Constant. Emotionally, how many pulls there are. I have to be a disciplinarian, but I have to be compassionate. I have to live with so many different parties who have so many expectations on me. So many pulls emotionally. Intellectually, I have to believe this, you have to believe me. I have to study this and do this. I have to wear so many caps. In every direction, a Devi is pulled and so suffers the most. But the only one who can handle that suffering is also a Devi. A man cannot endure physically, emotionally, or intellectually what a Devi can. A child cannot do the same either. They don't have the training for it. But you all do, and it can always be done more. And why I'm sharing this is, in one environment I was in, a lady started speaking about my knees hurt, my grandchildren don't come to visit me, I don't understand, we were studying Bhagavad Gita, I don't understand what you're talking about. And she literally looked up and said, why me? And then it was a gentleman beside her, each person had to share a thought, and he looks at her and says, why not you? What makes you special that you shouldn't have problems? We all have our problems. We all have our problems. But certainly our Devis have, I don't want to use the word problems, but more pulls. And if you don't do it, who will? Is the point to be noted. So the person who is ever wealthy is even-minded. And Gurudev has shared so many thoughts on this. The only certainty is uncertainty. All is always changing. So when physically those pulls are taking place, and it's difficult because we identify so strongly with the body, but why should I lose my balance? Why? There are some people during the menstrual cycle who become so emotional, but I've met other Devis who you wouldn't even know. They're so collected during that experience. And it's not like their bodies are going through anything different, but how they're embracing that experience. Emotionally, a lot of our young adults, they don't want to live with their in-laws anymore. I know I grew up free, I'm going to be free. But the more people we live with, the more we learn. More opinions, more challenges, etc., etc. Way more rubbing of the ego. When one lives by themselves, one is always right. Who else is there to tell me otherwise? When I live with lots of people, everyone tells me I'm wrong. But that's good. It makes one think then. So why, when all of these pulls are coming, and I know they're going to come, why lose that balance? Intellectually too, expectations. That is an intellectual game that we play with each other and with others. I heard one Acharya share that these expectations often are not even coming from males, it's coming from females themselves. Sisters with sister-in-laws, mothers with their daughter-in-laws, and etc., etc. But we will be that sister-in-law at one point. We will be that mother-in-law. We will be that daughter, etc., etc., too. So we should make it easy for each other, right? After someone offers bhiksha, aren't they required to clean the dishes? There's a game going on. Whoever's cell phone that is, please turn it off. So in the same way, we have to leave it ready for the next person. So we should take it easy on each other, that there are going to be these pulls, so let's empathize with each other and not project those expectations. It's okay, don't worry. Everyone, just be at ease for a minute. What did one tomato say to another tomato? This joke I made up myself, so I'm proud of it. What did they say? Let's catch up? That's good. But mine's better. They said, what's tomato with you? I like corny Indian jokes. So what better time to share one? This prayer that we've studied so far can be interpreted literally that we become a rishi. Do we even want to become rishis? A brahmana. Do we want to become brahmanas? Shri. Do any of us even want to become Mother Lakshmi? Or it can be interpreted with the implied meaning. What it means to be a rishi, someone who understands life. What it means to be a brahmana, someone who pursues peace. What it means to have Shri in one's life, that inner prosperity. And it is much more powerful then.